Alright, so I've watched a couple videos now about Black Lives Matter and some other videos that frustrate me. And one of the videos that I actually watched was by Morgan Freeman, who said, you know, he didn't feel like Black Lives Matter should really be a thing, nor should like Black History Month and such like that. And that really resonated with me, because it's like, you know, people keep wanting to say reparations, whatever, and it's like, okay, were you a slave? No. So shut the fuck up. Because it's like, honestly, I'm really sick and tired of it, because it's like, okay, we're in 2017, okay? Slavery has been abolished for, like, a long time. So, to sit there and say, like, Black Lives Matter or whatever, that's great. Sure, Black Lives Matter, but you're forgetting that we're all human, and that if you want the true equality of the United States that we supposedly have, we need to get over that and just say, okay, look, hashtag all lives matter, and we need to get over it. So it's like, okay, that frustrates me more than anything in the world, because it's like, okay, is there a White History Month? Is there, you know, a month about the Jews, about Spanish people, about French people? I mean, no, there's not. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say that monuments and such should be taken down, because that's what we're seeing on the news a lot lately, is that, you know, statue X, Y, and Z is being taken down because it is discriminative and it causes anger for people and such like that. Okay, here's the thing. To understand where we are today, you have to understand where we've been. That's why history is taught in school, and people learn what happened in the past so that we can prevent it in the future. If we're going to sit here and tear down every single part of our history of our past, we're going to tear down pretty much like everything, like Mount Rushmore. There's like tons of World War II museums. There's like Pearl Harbor, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on. So what I don't understand is why all of a sudden the obsession with like the Civil War and everything, when the Civil War was so fucking long ago. I mean, really, how does it affect your life? Like, seriously, if you can seriously, honestly answer to me how it affected your life that we went to a Civil War so long ago, then I am more than happy to listen to you. But if you sit there and you can't, then you need to shut the fuck up and get over it. Because I am so sick and tired of that. It's like, this whole equality thing is getting ridiculously out of hand. Not just for race, but also for gender. And, you know, Nick and I have actually talked about this a lot, and that we talked about the whole gender equality and transgender and stuff like that at work, and I'm like, you know, this is great that we're talking about it, because honestly, I'm just sick and tired of it. Because, like, okay, you want to be a man, great. You want to be a woman, fine. But don't sit there and expect me to understand that's what you're trying to do. It's like, okay, 9 times out of 10, you glance at somebody, you're going to make an assumption by the way they look, whether they're a man or they're a female. It's like, look at me. I'm wearing a dress, I have, you know, breasts. So you're going to be like, okay, well, that's a woman. You look at my husband, it's like, okay, no breast. Obviously, the manhood down under there is there, present, so he's a man. And, you know, Adam's apple, everything, whatever you want to, you know, go there. So it's like, okay, get over it. I have the right to assume by looking at you that you're a man or that you're a woman. Now at the same time, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, but if a man is wearing like a dress or whatever, it might be considered cross-dressing, or at the same time it's just his right to basically wear whatever the hell he wants to wear, but it doesn't change your gender. You're still a man. Like, I think the Gagog literally said, that's a man. It's for real, like, get over your freaking self. You're a dude. You're a cross-gendering male. Now, if you're wanting to go through the process and get changed into a woman, great. Then you'll become a woman. But until you go through all that, biologically, you're a man. Chromosomes, genes, whatever, don't lie. You can't sit there and say, well, you know, just because I was born a woman or I was born a man doesn't make me a man. Sure, whatever you want to say, that's fine. But biologically, science says you are whatever you are born. And it's not sit there and say, well, you know, the choice was made for me. Kinda, sort of, sure. If you want to go with that, you know, biologically the choice was made for you. But it's not like, you know, you were born a man and then the nurse and the doctor and your parents were just like, you know what? I think we're just gonna put on the birth certificate that that's a female. Or, you know, you're born a woman and they just decide, you know what, on the birth certificate, I'm just gonna put it as man. No. Biologically, the definition of being male or female is having, obviously, the sexual reproduction parts of that said gender. So, you know, get over it. Of course, there are people that are born with both parts. So, of course, you know, those people have the unique opportunity to decide for themselves, do I want to be a man? Do I want to be a female? Or whatever. And then there's a very, very slim opportunity where they're just born with no reproduction parts, and that's called like a eunuch. So I'm like, okay, obviously, really unique situation. You can really choose who you are, obviously, because science really doesn't have a definition of what you are for a gender. So that's what I want to say is I'm frustrated because, you know, people want to sit there and say that gender is limitless and that they weren't given a choice. Well, I completely disagree with that, and I think science does too. Alright, so I have seen a lot of videos online about hashtag Black Lives Matter and other various topics along those same lines. Now, I wanted to actually voice my opinion after a long time of not saying anything online about these topics. And I think that Morgan Freeman said it best when he said that he didn't feel that there should be a Black History Month. I mean, do you look at the calendar and see a White History Month or, you know, a Spanish month or French month or etc., etc.? Well, there isn't one, so why should there be a Black History Month? I don't get it. It's like you continually make the, you know, subject a problem because you constantly talk about it, and those of that race are constantly like reparations and stuff, like they should be paid for stuff that happened such a long time ago. I'm sorry, were you a slave? No. Because slavery was abolished a long time ago. So for you to sit there and say that I should pay you, or that my family should pay you, or that I should donate my property to somebody of an Afro-American race just because I'm white, is absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, no. I might donate my property to somebody that actually needs my property, such as somebody who's poor or can't survive without it, sure. But I'm not gonna just like solely make it upon race. I'm like, oh yeah, you're black, so you're gonna get my property. Ha ha. No. No. And double no. Here's the thing. I'm not going to base anything about skin color on whether or not I'm going to give somebody my property or not. How about I will give my property to whoever needs it the most, in my opinion, because that's my right to decide who I want to give my property to. It could be Spanish, it could be French, it could be anybody. It's like, why should I like purposely set aside something for somebody of a black colored skin? No. Sorry, not happening. And then on another somewhat similar topic on equality, the topic of men and women and such, and gender, as I like to say it, is absolutely ridiculous. Because look, okay, I'm sorry, but I think Magog said it properly when he was like, when you look at somebody, you make the assessment of that's a man or that's a female versus anything else. So it's like you see a person with breasts and a female looking body, you're going to assume that that person is female. Or if you see a person with like an Adam's apple and obviously, you know, male parts, then you're going to say that person is a male. So to sit there and get angry because somebody made an assumption is freaking ridiculous. So you glance at me and say that I'm white. Okay, that's still an assumption. How do you know for sure that I am completely white? I could be Native American. I could be Spanish. I could be French. You don't know, like, okay, I'm just white. Okay, I could be mixed black. How do you know? You don't know by just looking at me that I am a particular race. But, you know, that's different when it comes to gender, because you can look at somebody and 99.9% of the time you're going to be correct in assuming that person is female or male. I mean, that's just like two different subjects all fucking together in a way. It's like, it's freaking ridiculous. So stop getting angry when somebody assumes that you're a man or a female and you're wanting to be the opposite. Give that person an opportunity to treat you like a person and go, okay, no, actually I'm a guy. And then that person go, oh my god, I am so sorry. I didn't know that you wanted to identify as a man, so my apologies, sir, you know. And allow the situation to move on, rather than just getting super angry about it and go, oh my god, can't you see that I'm like totally a woman? No, we can't. I'm sorry, but science kind of has you on that one. It's like, you know, for you to sit there and say, well, the choice is taken away from me, okay. No, science kind of determined your sex on purpose. So, it's not like your parents gave birth to you and then was like, this person is female, but I'm going to put on the birth certificate that they're male just because I decide that they're going to be a man. Or vice versa. That's not how it works. Scientifically, there are criteria that make people a female or a male, or there's also unique circumstances where people are born with both, or none at all, etc., etc. So I'm like, in those circumstances, you know, things are a little bit different. Some parents will decide based on which parts are more productive than the other, such as if someone were born with both female and male parts, and the female parts were actually working and the male parts weren't, then they would identify as a female, and vice versa. Which just makes sense, because biologically that person is whatever reproductive part they have. That's it. There is no more to it. So sit there and say that there is like limitless gender is absolutely ridiculous, because there really isn't at all limitless genders. There's male, there's female, there's trans to whatever, and then there's like eunuch, which is like basically there's no reproductive parts. So that's it. Biologically, that's it. That's all there is. So it's like, you can sit there and say you're a flying helicopter, but you're not, because you don't have the parts to be a flying helicopter. You don't have the propeller, you're not be able to fly in the air, so no, you're not. So just get over it. And don't be ashamed of what you're born as. It's like, okay, I'm born a woman. Great. You know, actually, when I was younger, I actually did want to transition to a male. My first relationship I actually had was with a female. I felt more like a man than I did as a female. I was attracted to a female, but as I grew older, and then after a traumatic experience with the person I was with, they actually got killed in a car accident, I decided that, you know, no, I was just going to be proud of who I am and stay as a woman, and I actually fell in love with a man. So I later in life kind of discovered that, okay, I'm just bisexual. I like women and I like men equally, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to like just change my gender because I'm attracted to the same sex. That just doesn't make sense to me to do that. So it's like, that's what boggles my brain. It's like, okay, if you want to be a man and be attracted to a man, go for it. You want to be a female and be attracted to a female? Great. No problem. But what I find irritating and frustrating to me to understand, to grasp, is when a man wants to transition to a female to continue to be with female. Wait, what? I'm sorry, but you're wanting to change to be a woman to be with women. So you're a lesbian stuck in a man's body. No, you're just straight. You're straight. You want to be with women. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. It's like, why would you want to change genders to be with the opposite gender? It makes no sense. Or the same gender, I guess, because you're changing to be a woman to be with a woman. Doesn't compute to me, because it's like, it just doesn't make sense. But it's like, if you want to be like exclusively with men as a man and exclusively with women as in women, whatever, go for it. Who cares? But just be proud of who you are. You don't have to change who you are just to be with the same sex. It just doesn't make sense. So it's like, that part of it I just don't understand. It's like, you don't have to change your sex to be with whoever you want to be with. It's like, they should be happy to be with you however you actually are. It's like, actually, I had a conversation with a lady I knew back 17 years ago. I had told her that, you know, at some point in my life I actually considered changing genders, so that I could find her and propose to her and be with her for the rest of her life. And she actually said to me that she loved me for who I am, and she didn't want me to change who I am just to make me feel comfortable to be with her. And that's basically the nail on the head. You shouldn't have to change who you are to be with who you want to be with. Now, obviously, like, if you're just not comfortable in your own body and you just really want to be the opposite gender that you are, then fine. Go and do that. But don't sit there and say that you can't be with a man because you're a man, or you can't be with a female because you're a female, because that's absolutely wrong. You can be with whoever you want to be with as yourself. So I think that's something that people tend to like get lost about and get confused about, and just they treat people so unfair about, as they're like, oh, well, you know, gay people aren't helping the population of the world or whatever because they can't have kids. Okay, how about no? Because you want to look at statistics and stuff of the world. You know how many kids there are out there that don't have parents for whatever reason? Like, their parents didn't want them, or their parents were killed, or the kids were abused and taken away from their parents, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. There are so many ways that a gay couple, and I'm going to say gay couple for men and women because it's just easier. There's so many opportunities for gay people to raise children that don't have the opportunity to have a family. And people need to get over that. It's like they want to sit there and go, well, you know, you have two dads, so how, you know, does that affect your life and such? How can you be raised properly? And I think there was a couple of kids that said it right, and they were like, well, I don't look at it as like I have two dads or whatever. I look at it as I have two amazing parents that are doing the best they can to raise me, and I think that's awesome. So really, ultimately, it's like, what harm is it really doing? Those kids are obviously growing up fine. It's all about being in a loving, nurturing home. Why do we have to like sit there and, you know, be like, well, it has to be a man and female household? It's like, okay, get over it. It's like, if you really want to be nitpicky about it being, you know, man and female, I mean, it's like there was a time when people were like up in arms about white and black not being together. Well, obviously we've gone past that and everything's fine. So why can't we do that about race too? It's like, honestly, I think the best thing that this country has ever done is they passed a law that allowed people to make their own choice. If you want to be with a man, great. Go right ahead. It's not hurting anybody. The same thing with being black or white or being Jewish or Catholic or Baptist or whatever religion you want to go on. It doesn't affect other people what you do with your life. So honestly, I think people just need to get over it. It's not going to get any better if people don't just stop. It's like, we need to remember our history and where we came from. But at the same time, we can't sit there and dwell upon the past either. It's time to move forward. It is 2017. A lot of that stuff happened a long time ago. Sure, let's remember it, but move the fuck on. I mean, this goes for anything like, okay, September 11th of 2011, great, okay, so the Twin Towers were crashed into, okay, I understand, like, lots of people lost their lives to that, but don't sit there and dwell over it. Don't sit there and go, well, we have to go to war for that. And honestly, that's a whole other topic in a nutshell. I'm actually going to talk about that in another video. But I just felt like it was important to put out there that people really need to stop with the race, with the gender, and just start thinking about how a person is affected by what they say and what they do. So that's it. Hashtag all lives matter. That's it. Get over it. Done.